Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're looking at what has to be one of the most stunning survival stories on the planet. We are talking about the land of fire, ice, and waterfalls, Iceland. I mean, just picture it, a desolate volcanic island sitting right there on the edge of the Arctic. For the longest time, it was an incredibly harsh place to exist, right? Just a poor, isolated rock in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean that, honestly, the rest of the world mostly ignored. But somehow, against all odds, this rugged land of active volcanoes and freezing glaciers has morphed into one of the safest, most high-tech, and wealthiest nations on Earth.
Let's really dive into this crazy juxtaposition, because for generations, Iceland was just this impoverished outpost. They relied entirely on basic fishing just for bare survival. The environment was brutal, resources were practically non-existent, and every single day was a fight against the elements. But today? Well, today Iceland is an absolute economic powerhouse. In fact, it consistently ranks as the second most expensive country in the entire world, sitting right behind Switzerland. So how did they leap from a bleak, forgotten outpost to this modern, high-tech nation that everyone looks up to as a model of perseverance? Well, let's find out.
Section 1. From Isolation to Wealth, the Dramatic Economic Evolution.
So, looking at how this happened, in Phase 1, everything was about basic survival fishing. You literally just pulled fish from the freezing sea to feed your family. But, they didn't stop there. They evolved into Phase 2. They upgraded from simply catching the fish to processing it and systematically exporting it. This added massive value to their one and only major natural resource. And then comes the huge leap to Phase 3. They took all that capital generated from their exports and fiercely pivoted into the modern world of finance and advanced technology, literally building a robust, diversified modern economy out of thin air and freezing water.
370,000. That is the entire population of Iceland. Think about that. That's the size of a medium-sized town in a lot of other countries. Yet this tiny group of people, mostly clustered around the capital, Reykjavik, manages to project a massive global footprint and wield immense economic weight. It's a literal economic miracle built on incredibly limited natural resources. But to make that kind of leap, they needed a very specific secret weapon.
Section 2. The Education Revolution. Cultivating the Mind.
There's this profound cultural motto in Iceland, making a nation. When the country decided to elevate itself from poverty, they didn't just start throwing up factories. Instead, they focused intensely on the minds of their people. Education became an absolute top priority. This fierce, deliberate dedication to learning is exactly how they prepared a tiny workforce to compete in global tech and finance. They figured out pretty quickly that when you have almost zero natural resources, aside from fish and rocks, your only true asset is human capital. And you can see this priority everywhere. In the capital city of Reykjavik, which by the way looks a bit like a miniature Copenhagen, they actually say there are more libraries than coffee shops. If you walk through the city, you'll spot these beautiful, modern libraries seamlessly integrated with gardens. It's a society that has quite literally built itself from the ground up around the concepts of reading, learning, and self-improvement.
Section 3. Harnessing the Earth's Fire, the Geothermal Secret.
Okay, so this is where it gets really brilliant. They actively weaponize their extreme geology to create this blueprint for energy independence. Step 1. They tap into the intense thermal energy that's naturally latent in the underground water beneath all those volcanoes. Step 2. They route that scalding water into power plants, converting it into electrical energy. Step 3. This allows them to power their entire high-tech nation with zero-carbon electricity. And then Step 4, which is just pure genius. They take the safe, mineral-rich runoff water from those power plants and use it to feed massive tourist hotspots. It is a perfectly closed, highly profitable loop.
Because of this incredible engineering, the nation takes immense pride in running on 100% renewable energy. That's right, completely zero carbon emissions for their electricity. They looked at this dangerous, volatile, volcanic landscape and figured out how to turn it into an endless, pristine battery for their entire civilization.
And the result of that fully renewable energy grid? Well, the air is so pure and clean that they literally pack it into cans and sell it to tourists as a souvenir. No joke, you can actually buy a can of Icelandic air to breathe before you fly home. It's kind of funny, sure, but it really highlights a profound truth. Their energy revolution hasn't just made them incredibly wealthy, it has kept their environment incredibly pristine.
Section 4. The Ultimate Safety Paradox. Peace on top of volcanoes.
Now think about this striking reality for a second. Just recently, in 2024, an active volcano erupted near the capital. It blocked roads, sent massive plumes of smoke into the air, and had the potential to disrupt absolutely everything. And this lethal threat sits just 20 kilometers from their main airport. It is a volatile, dangerous Earth. Yet, as a totally normal, everyday societal norm, parents will confidently leave their 2-year-old toddlers safely unattended in strollers outside on the street while they pop into a store to shop. Mind-blowing, right?
This culture of extreme safety extends to their entire national identity. Despite living literally on top of erupting magma, Iceland is consistently ranked as the safest and most peaceful country in the world. They're a NATO member, but they have absolutely no military or standing army. Oh, and in a quirky twist of nature, it's also the only country in the world with 0 mosquitoes. Plus, their domestic rules fiercely protect this peace. For instance, there are massive financial fines if a driver accidentally hits one of the free-roaming sheep. It's just a highly organized, deeply tranquil society existing right on top of absolute geological chaos.
Section 5. The Business of Extremes. Monetizing the Harsh Landscape.
They have completely packaged their extreme terrain for the world. First off, you've got Diamond Beach, where you can literally walk right up to giant glacial icebergs washing up on the shore. You can take photos and touch ancient ice in the middle of summer. Then there's the Black Beach, world famous for this dramatic, dark sand that honestly makes you feel like you're walking inside a volcanic crater right next to the ocean. And of course, the Blue Lagoon. They took geothermal power plant runoff and turned it into the ultimate luxury asset. They didn't just survive this landscape, they built a massive global tourism empire right on top of it.
39 degrees Celsius. That is the intensely hot temperature of the water at the Blue Lagoon. Just imagine sitting in water that hot while freezing Arctic air swirls right around your head. It is the absolute ultimate fire and ice experience, completely engineered for human comfort.
Let's break down the brilliant mechanics here. The Blue Lagoon essentially acts as the largest natural jacuzzi in the entire world. Because it's fed by that neighboring geothermal plant we talked about, the entire massive volume of water is completely renewed every 2 days. That striking blue color, that comes from the rich silica and minerals in the water, which tourists absolutely flock to for skin-altering face masks. And the absolute masterstroke? They located this world-renowned luxury spa directly beside the international airport. You land at Iceland, and literally within minutes, you're soaking in volcanic runoff, spending money, and experiencing their geothermal miracle firsthand.
So, the crucial point we're left with today is this. Iceland transformed from an ignored, impoverished outpost into a wealthy, peaceful, tech-driven society. And they didn't do it by having easy natural resources. They did it by intensely educating their people and brilliantly engineering their way through their harshest challenges. If a tiny population of 370,000 can turn deadly fire and freezing ice into 100% clean energy and profound national wealth, what kind of transformations could the rest of the world achieve with the challenges we face today? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep staying curious.